Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
Hi there and welcome back to the ATK Pro Series. My name is Dennis Page and I'm joined by Daniel Haynes, and this time, Dan, we're going to the Nurburgring.
Yes, we're back for round 4 of the ATK Pro Series, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. And what a fitting place to go, to the homeland of Merc.
Indeed, the homeland. There's even a section named after the brand, but more about that later. We are going to delve in to find out who is the best sim racer in South African sim racing. And the sim used, of course, is Assetto Corsa. These drivers will be pitted up against each other in this incredible one-make series powered by Mercedes-Benz and our sponsors on the screen over there to find out, as I said, who is the best. At the end of it all, they will go through to a race of champions. But again, we've got plenty time to go into the details of that. At the moment, the drivers are busy with qualifying, and we're going to find out exactly how they're doing in qualifying. But first, let's have a look at those championship standings and see where everybody fits in the big picture. On top of that picture is Zahir Essa, who's had a fantastic run this season, winning the first race of the season, not doing as well as he usually does in race 2, but then coming back to form again and now lead. Harry Spires in the mix as well, and Tariq Adam has now all of a sudden this year shown his true potential. Simone Iezzi, all the way from Italy, has done really well to match Tariq's points, as you can see, and the new signing Philip Menard, the ATK driver, is also showing some serious pace and only improving. There are a couple other names on there that don't really do the points justice. A few guys like George Boothby unfortunately won't be attending today again, showed some serious pace earlier on, so did Bashir Jadwat and many others. But in this championship, drivers are allowed to drop one round, and that means that the championship table shifts a little bit when we do. You can see Prince KB on there, a familiar name to some of us, Ben McConnell as well. So lots and lots of drivers started the championship, Kalen Maui in the mix as well. but it's all about perseverance. It's all about attrition over the course of the 7 rounds. Now we are heading to the Nurburgring, and there are 3 more rounds left. And now we see the dropped round championships. At the moment, the drivers can only drop one of the rounds, of course, but as the season progresses, when that dropped round adds up, I think this will shuffle things even more. Don't you think, Dan?
Yeah, definitely will. I mean, we had an absolute classic in round 3, didn't we, at Spa? I mean, that was the race of the year. It's the race of any series of ATK Pro Series. It was such a good race. So if we get anything like that here at another very formidable track, one that all sim racers will be very knowledgeable about here at the Nurburgring GP, then we're in for a treat. But Zayaressa, he's got his drop round, but he's got his 2 wins in the bag. So with the drop round taken into effect, 211 points is pretty much maxed out. But I still think you want to have that reserve. I mean, I think Essa's drop round is still a 4th place, which is solid, isn't it? Especially with round 6 being Mount Panorama.
Exactly. Essa's round is he's in such a solid position. He got 1st, 4th, and 1st. When we talk about Harry Spires, he got 3rd, 1st, and 2nd. Another one that's been exceptionally consistent this season. So I think Harry Spires is right up there with Zahir Essa when it comes to consistency. But Zahir has proven that over the course of a season, he can deliver the goods. Tariq Adams, 5, 3, and 6, his positions over the course of the season. And Philip Menard, 7, 2, and 12. So definitely the top 2 drivers are the most consistent, Zahir Essa and Harry Spears. But the season isn't over yet. There's still plenty to play for. And we're going to be joining the guys soon, going to see exactly how the qualifying's going, Dan, because I, for one, am chomping at the bit, as my other co-commentator normally says. You might have heard of my other co-commentator, Stevie, I affectionately call him. I might just be a bit sour that you weren't here last week at the last ATK Pro Series event, and you were on vacation, I heard.
Yeah, and I'm getting punished for it now, so don't feel too sorry for me, as I've been laid up with flu all weekend, you can probably hear. But it's been a good weekend for motorsport, so I've sat in front of the telly basically doing absolutely nothing but drink honey tea and watch the Spa 24-hour followed by F1. And now I'm hoping to finish it off with a classic at the Nurburgring.
Did you manage to get the end of the Formula 1?
I got the end of the Formula 1, I got the end of the Spa 24. Still time for another brew. So I'm ready, I'm stoked. And this is it, into qualifying, 16 minutes to go, 30-minute sessions. These guys have been going around 14 minutes already. Sovalainen's our provisional pole sitter.
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of him this season.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of him. Sovalainen currently atop the standings. Philip Menard, the new ATK signing, in 2nd position. And Dan, this was someone that you tipped from the beginning of the season to be someone to watch out for. And Philip Menard has certainly delivered the goods over the course of the season by improving hand over fist the last couple of races.
He has indeed, although he probably admit himself that he let a bit on the table, left a bit on the table at Spa, finishing 12th. So that's his current drop round. But had a fantastic 2nd place at Laguna Seca. I think this track is going to be, I'm expecting a bit more passing, the same as Spa. We're not looking at the Laguna Seca situation again. So thankfully for us, I think we're going to see quite a bit, because there's a lot of places to take a lunge here. Turn 1 is right up there with sort of Monza T1 for action. So I'm sort of, I'll be going into turn 1 with my eyes slightly closed as they slam on the anchors to try and get around there. Always carnage at turn 1. And obviously that difficult Mercedes-Benz arena section where you have to be so super careful on the throttle.
Indeed, the drivers have been warned about first corner incidents, and one corner that is iconic for first corner incidents. If you've ever spent any time in an online lobby at the Nurburgring, you know.
Oh, you don't do online lobbies at the Nurburgring. Just the same reason you don't do online lobbies at Monza. You're basically just asking for an incident.
You are absolutely asking for it. It's a roll of the dice every time. But even so, these drivers are the best in the country, and some of them the best in the world. And we find them here at the Nurburgring now with Jonas Sovalainen currently still a pole sitter and looking good out there. Philip Menard currently about 1/10 of a second up, so he could be within a strike or 2 for first position. He is up on his sectors at the moment and is still on the charge. But yeah, like you said, the first corner, the drivers are going to be watching out for that one. Jonas Sovalainen, his best results a 9 and a 16th position. He missed round 2, but now finds himself at the top, and we all spoke about him many times before. It looks like Philip Menard is going to go much faster. This could be enough for Menard to take pole. Menard goes across the line. Yes, he does take pole by 0.087 of a second.
That's really close, isn't it? Really close between the drivers. We've seen the whole season through that track progression's been a real thing, though, and people have been grabbing that pole position right at the death. So with 14 minutes to go, plenty of time for some other guys to get up in the mix. Spears currently down in 6th position. S also in 5th. We'd expect them a bit higher up. Apple in 3rd place, though. It's nice to see a few different names working their way up the field. Bauer in 8th position. Surely it should be good for Simon Bauer at Nurburgring. It's his local track.
He was leading earlier on in qualifying, but then got usurped by some of the rest of the competitors. But this is one of those circuits, as you say, it's certainly one of my favorites on Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's a very fun circuit to drive on, very much a fun circuit to race on as well. And the layout here is slightly different to what we see in other series, with that final chicane slightly modified as well. So the drivers will be all too familiar with what this circuit is exactly like. Some of them will have spent thousands of laps here, and now we see Philip Menard go all the way to the top. Sovalainen about to cross the line. Going through the final corner is Sovalainen. Was in 1st place, slotted down to 2nd, stays in 2nd as we now cut on board with Zahir Essa, who is 0.2 of a second up so far. So he could be good for a 2nd or 3rd place now. Could Zahir Essa going into the 2nd half of the lap now.
And Simon Bauer was up half a second, but then just lost it as I said that. So I unfortunately have to take that back. Essa is holding on to his 0.2 up. Sovalainen is flicking between a 10th and level with his delta. So I think we're going to see, as we've seen all season, quite a bit of track progression. It's a very technical circuit. You can gain and, more importantly, lose time so easily here, because there's so many corners where it has such a late apex that you have to be so careful on your throttle, not going on too early, and learning a bit of patience in that slow mid sort of in arena section. That takes a bit of effort. It's so easy to just get a bit too happy on the throttle, and you've lost everything.
So easy indeed. And then of course there are the iconic Schumacher S's that we see Sovalainen going through now. Again, a place where you've got to commit, but you can't commit too much. A touch of the dirt on the side will see you parked on the other side sometimes.
Yeah, through the Schumacher S's, you're trying to make that as straight as possible, aren't you? So track limits might become a bit of a thing through there, as it always does, as everyone tries to straight line those two corners, and you're trying to lift as least as possible. You're trying your best to just go through there flat. But I think a slight confidence lift is required usually. And but they look so simple, but anything where you've got to carry that amount of speed through there, and how important it is as you come up to turn 10, is why they're famous, basically.
Sovalainen makes his way through turn 15. He is up at the moment by quite some margin. Let's see if that will be enough. He goes to first. Does Sovalainen. Sovalainen goes to 1st place and parks it on the side as Yetzi comes through in 4th position. The drivers now slowly but surely starting to define the pecking order of who sits where on the standings. And Yetzi now finds himself in 4th place. Essa in 3rd. Menard in 2nd place. Apple in 5th. Spears in 6th place. Tariq Adam in 7th. But no shame in 7th position. Heck, no shame in 10th position, because they're all at the moment top 7 separated by just half a second. Top 10 by 1 second.
And they're all just going to continue to trade blows, aren't they? Robin Schaefer was impressive in the last round. He's 0.3 up on his delta currently in 9th position. Harry Spears is 0.2 up. So we've got 10 minutes to go in this qualifying, but just like we've seen basically every round so far, I'm expecting the order just keep continually to shuffle their way around. S is back in the pits, maybe making a few setup changes on his car to go out for another run. Yeah, you got 10 minutes. You got a couple of good flying chances here. Oh, we got a car off. Robin Schaefer's, that's his delta gone, I'm afraid.
Robin Schaefer with a big off there, the flags wave, and Bauer now on board with Bauer. But Barkhuizen is up in 14th position as well. Appel slightly up in 6th place. A couple more guys, Morgan McCall in 13th position, slightly up as well. So a few guys still improving. Tariq Adam also improving over there. Wentworth in 24th place, up right now, but losing it out again. So some of the guys still improving, as you mentioned. McConnell in 17th position, up as well. So there is still so much happening, so much busyness happening in the standings at the moment. You can keep an eye on them on the left-hand side. McConnell, I think, would be someone to watch out for now in 17th place. He might jump up quite a bit as we go on board with Philip Menard in 2nd position.
And the top 7 split by only half a second. I think any one of these guys is capable of putting this car on pole. It's just whether you can pull out your PB when it really counts in the last sort of 5-10 minutes. And that's where you've been, out of all the circuits, this is the one where I have a problem the most of pushing too hard. Because you actually just scrub off too much speed. It is a very difficult one, but we're looking at the best here. And I still think we're going to see a few changes. Sovalainen currently up visual pole sitter.
Yeah, Sovalainen just by 0.073 of a second. I'd love to go on board with our 17th position man if we could. McConnell currently 0.3 of a second up, all the way down in 17th position. But he could find himself jumping up quite a bit just by virtue of the fact that, you know, there might be a couple other guys close to him in that position. And want to shine some love on some of the guys that are a little bit further down the order, fighting just as hard as the guys in front. That's for sure. McConnell makes his way towards the line as we also watch Philip Menard in 2nd place. Just watch that number 17 car over there on your left-hand screen. Goes up to 16th place, just one jump. But I'm sure he will be happy with that. Menard still in 2nd place. Essa now in 3rd. Spears up to 4th position there. So that's interesting to see.
Yeah, we had Morgan McCall as well up on his Delta, and literally as I should just keep my mouth shut, shouldn't I? Because as I said that, he decides to bail on it. So still time to regroup, 7 minutes. Everyone's back in the pits, make a slight setup tweak, get yourself back out on track and run again. Simon Bauer is a 10th up. Robin Schaefer again is going for a quick one.
Yeah, Simon Bauer at the moment on your screen, just under 2/10 at this stage. Almost completing his lap. He's just gone over the 2/10 mark. But seesawing a little bit, but he needs to get 4/10 to get within that top 7. The top 7 certainly at the moment in a league of their own in that 5/10 of a second margin from 1st to 7th. Zaire Essa still in 3rd place. That is your cars.co.za driver. And he is definitely not used to being anywhere outside of the top 3. Not up at the moment by much, just under 1/10 of a second. But at his point where he is now, 1/10 of a second could be enough. In fact, less than 1/10 of a second, half a 1/10 of a second is going to be enough to slot him into 2nd place and put him on the front row. So it's down to the millimetric measurements now, as the drivers get ever closer to the end of this incredible qualifying session. So competitive at the front, as mentioned, top 7 separated by just half a second.
Yeah, none of these drivers leave anything unturned, do they? They've got everything programmed down to the T. And as we go into a 60-minute race, it's just pretty much a flat-out sprint the entire time. We had some fuel saving at Spa because the car couldn't quite make 60 minutes without doing a bit of fuel saving, and I would expect that to be the same case here at Nurburgring GP as well. So we'll have to see whether that plays a part as this race goes on. And anyone in chat, keep us welcome. We've got Kayla Maher in chat. Good luck to all the drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions, fire it away in chat, and we'll, if you've got a driver that you particularly want some screen time on, we can jump to them.
Kayla Maher, how's it going? Met him for the first time at the ATK arena here a couple of weeks ago. Of course, from a Gran Turismo background, also dips his toe in ACC from time to time. From Pace Motorsport, we are Pace, as they say. But back to the action here. Sovalainen in 1st place still from Menard. Zaire Essa in 3rd place. Spears still in 4th. And just look at that. Top 5 separated by less than 3/10 of a second.
Yeah, but no one's up on their Delta right now, are we? Going into the last 5 minutes of qualifying and a 30-minute session. This is where we've seen people suddenly pull out a lap from the gods out of nowhere and take pole. Will we see it again today? At the moment, Nobody's out, but no one's really on a flyer, are they? They're all on in or out laps.
Wentworth in 24th position, up by 0.2 of a second. William Wentworth, hopefully.
He had a blinder last round at Spa, didn't he? Start like dead last and then just ended up making insane places. I seem to remember talking about William Wentworth quite a bit.
Yes.
So not a guy that likes qualifying, clearly, but one that doesn't mind a bit of racing.
Yeah, the Panda livery not doing too well on that car in qualifying. Made it up to 10th place at the last race. So William Wentworth certainly...
Yeah, he was in the money, wasn't he? In the money. From the back.
From the back. So William Wentworth, once again, a come from behind charge will be what we will see from him in 24th position.
Morgan McCall's 3/10 up. We're on board with Morgan McCall right now, but he's the only guy on a quick lap, and he's currently 3/10 up. Looking at where that put him, that could get him up to sort of 11th position, couldn't it, if he could hold that to the end?
He's up quite a bit now. 4/10 up is Morgan McCall, and he could be in the top 10, as you say, Dan. Could he go into the top 10? Yeah, that will be a top 10 position if he's able to hold it together.
Up now, he could go right into the top 10.
Oh, Morgan McCall on a charge now. This is a solid lap from McCall, the elder of the McCall brothers, the ATK athlete. And of course, Junior McCall, his brother, and Senior McCall, the father. Let's see how Morgan does now with a karting background and extensive sim racing experience, especially in the Pro Series. McCall now goes
He's got to negotiate through the chicane. That's an easy place to mess up, but he doesn't. 7/10 up on his Delta currently, Morgan McCall, as he comes around the last. 8/10 up now. This could be right into the middle of the group in the top 5.
He gingerly goes around that last corner. Oh, let's see. Morgan McCall jumps up to 8th place. Jumps up to 8th place. What a solid performance here from McCall. And now we got on board with Spears, who finds himself in 4th place. Still, Essa sits in 3rd. Still, Menard in 2nd. Still, Savalainen in 1st.
Yeah, time's running out for a quick lap to come out of nowhere, I think, but you just put everything on the table. You want to be on track, and everyone is on track. There's a few guys in the pits that are right at the back, but all of our front runners are out on circuit right now. Zairessa is starting a lap. He's just flicking up and down on his Delta at pretty much level. Savalainen doing the same. Philip Menard. Basically, the top 7 are level on their Delta on a flying lap now. So this is their last chance to put a stand for pole.
Oh, it's getting exciting now. Zahir Essa is normally known for pulling out a flying lap at the end, or in the words of Dan the Man, at the death. But I don't think this time that death nail will take place and will be hit into the coffin, because he's still, as you mentioned, completely level up. But it is very close. Look at that. Look at that. Spears just 0.2 of a second down. So Barkhuizen now in 15th position.
Yeah, the only one not improving is Philip Menard. Is way down, so it's just whether he can get round to get across the line before it goes to 0 to get another flying lap. Simon Ietzi is slightly up on his Delta in 5th. Just keeping a real close eye, because we're expecting some driver to suddenly pull one out of the bag. We've seen it all season. We've only got one flying lap left for these guys. These ones that are just crossing the line now, they got one more opportunity to do it. Here's Ietzi, currently 1/10 up on his Delta, but a 10th here gains you a lot.
10th gains him a lot for sure, and that will be enough to put him up into 4th place. Just over a 10th gets him into 3rd place. So Yetzi's going to be pushing quite hard, but once again slips down the order. So difficult, it seems, to string together a solid lap here. Spears currently
Essa and Spears are up, and Menard is now starting a new lap, so he did get across the line. But Essa's currently up and Spears is up a 10th, but a 10th is all they need to try and get Savalainen off that top spot. Can it lift up second? Oh, that's close.
Essa gets 2nd. Dan, you called it. Essa was up on that Delta. Spears also up. Jacobs down.
Essa's got one more chance, though. He got across the line before it hit 0, so Essa can go again, and he is doing so. Spears might not be able to get across. I think this is the last effort from Harry Spears here as he comes up to the chicane. The clock will go down to 0 before he gets across the line, so he's got to leave it all out on the... He's overcooked. So easy to do.
Oh, no. Oh, no. So that's it for his campaign. Philip Menard out at the moment. And I'm not too sure if he's up. We're busy checking frantically over here. Philip Menard is on a level.
Yeah,
Delta.
he's not up.
So he's not up at the moment either. The wait time, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. So these drivers will be able to get finish their laps as they go through. Philip Menard, the man on your screen at the moment, the new ATK athlete. And he is down on his delta by quite some margin now. So I think that's over now. He got a red, he's got the old red card there for cutting track limits. So
yeah, so Robin Schaefer's the only one that's up on his delta on a flyer that I can see. Everyone else has pretty much parked it. Esser is still technically on a lap, but he's not improving right now. Looks like Robin Schaefer's also ditched it as well. So I think Esser did manage to pull out his fastest lap right at the end, but it's only 5/100ths off pole, so it wasn't quite enough. But I mean, that's as close as you can get, and he's starting from the front row of the grid.
That's as close as you can get, and as you say, the front row of the grid is what matters. We're going to go to a break. Oh, Esser's actually just suddenly gained some time, so let's keep an eye on Esser. Let's wait until this lap finishes, but I think he made a mistake there at the end, came in a little bit too hot. That's why the delta caught back on him. He's so close to his best time, but just
but anything could get it. Anything could get it. It says level, doesn't it? It says level.
So level. Well, that's it from qualifying for us, ladies and gentlemen. That was what your qualifying looks like. Zahir Esser on the front row of the grid, but he has got so much competition from Silverlinen and the rest of the guys. We'll be right back after the break with the race, so stay tuned. Well, folks, we are back. The drivers currently lined up on the grid. Silverlinen in first place, Esser on the front row of the grid. And Dan, going into that first corner, this is surely something that they would have played out many, many times. How are we going to do this? And now Esser finds himself on the outside, which is not the worst place to be going into that right-hander.
I really don't know. I've never managed to master it. I've got pole here in F3 in iRacing and been absolutely punted into turn one. So I really don't know. It's one of those things you just go in, hope for the best, and shut your eyes. That's not really great advice. I'll put it that way.
That's terrible advice, but thank you.
You've got to trust the guy behind you.
Yes.
Because turn one here is a real issue. Now, the big advantage is obviously a rolling start, not standing start. Standing start is massive, a massive issue. But here, rolling start, hopefully they can fly. And there's definitely enough room to put two side by side into turn one. But it's a hell of a long way around on the outside.
It's a long way
on
around
the wrong side,
Yeah, so the inside line over here is quite tight. The drivers are going to want to climb that curb ever so slightly and rotate the car because there's a weird camber change on the inside of that first curb. As you say, Esser will have to take the long way around, but he can take comfort in the fact that if he's able to get along Silverlinen by the exit going into the Mercedes section, he will be on the inside line for the following few corners and hopefully be able to take the lead. So that would more than likely be the strategy for Zahir Esser in second place. Menard, though, on the other hand, finds himself in third place behind Silverlinen. So his strategy will more than likely be stick behind Silverlinen or take the inside line if he can. Spears behind Esser will be thinking the same as Esser. Let's see if we can do the outside and hopefully get past Menard. And so it goes on until position number 20 something who's going to be thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna hope that these guys can pick themselves off and I can slip through the carnage, which has often been seen at the first corner of the Nurburgring.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But going deep is safe, I think. So Esser will probably keep on his outside line. go pretty deep, get the cut back, and just see where he stands after turn 1. If you try and hug that inside real tight, someone always tries to lick it and send it, and it never works out well. So if you want to be safe, go deep into turn 1.
Go deep around the outside. You can send it around the outside and get your brake marker just spot on, because oftentimes someone rotates it at the curb as well. And I'd like to keep a camera going there and looking at that curb, because we've seen people rotate it at that curb. We're now looking at the grid at the moment, and there you have it, your 2 leaders, Savalainen and Essa, up front on the grid. Then behind that, you've got Menard and Spears. And there, as you can see, the car's livery. This is Menard on your left-hand side over there. Then behind that, you've got Ietzi and Apple. Ietzi and Apple. In the 858 car is Ietzi. In the 29 car is Mr. Apple. Behind that is Tariq Adam. Tariq Adam has made a fantastic charge this year and this season in the 99 car. And we suspect it won't be the last we'll see of him. Mccall in the 19 car finds himself way up the order after a fantastic last-minute charge in qualifying. The 113 is Bauer. We saw Bauer leading the qualifying at one stage with Barkhuizen in the 7 car, also not doing too badly. Schaefer in the number 9 car finds himself at the inside, but on his outside is Voss in the 222. But the action now continues at the front of the grid as the drivers make their way away and have to slot in position side by side, line of start, towards this epic first corner that we've just been talking about in depth. Turn 1, the Yokohama S.
Yeah, so not quite as long a formation lap as we had in the last round at Spa. It'll give these guys a bit more of an opportunity to keep their tyres in the window that they want to start in. But yeah, that turn 1 it's really, really tight on the inside, and it drops down quite severely with that curb. So you got a little bit of a situation as you can go out wide thinking I'll stay out of the way, and someone skittles through and misses their brake bias, and you end up like Bottas at Hungaroring last year, where he just takes you out. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't here. So I think you just concentrate on your own line and hope for the best. But these are all very, very skilled drivers. So Savalainen did it great to get it on pole, hasn't he? He's been very entertaining to watch all season long. He hasn't got his friend Ogoroknikov to keep him company because he's not on circuit today.
Just so as we memorized the names.
Yes, with all that practice, he's not here. But yeah, I think Savalainen, who always seems to get tangled with him, will think, well, this is my race, isn't it?
Well, Savalainen certainly has things his own way at the moment, but it ain't over yet. The race is about to start, and there are many other drivers that will have say about that pole position number 100 car. Essa, of course, on the front row will be one of them, parked alongside the 100 car. Apple further back will be also watching on to see if any opportunity will avail itself to him going on the charge into the first corner. Half a second separating the top 5, less than a second separating the top 10 from this man over here, Bernard Barkhuizen in the 667 car in 10th position.
It's been a good weekend for Mercedes, and one of them's going to win here, isn't there? Because they're all Mercs. But it was a 1-2 at the Spa 24-hour, only an hour ago. Marciello took that ACA ASP car across the line to finally get a win.
How good is that guy, eh? Flippin'.
Oh, yeah, there's our Kalami 9-hour winner, Jules Gounon, also in the car. And they've also won the Bathurst 12-hour, so it's absolutely dominating GT3 racing is this Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. And we've got a GT3 Cup. So perfect.
Perfect. Of course, this EVO version over here, the latest iteration of this car, and just a spectacular racing machine. As you can see, Julien Gouron getting a bit close over there. Samir Foch on your screen at the moment, the stream, and a couple of guys are going to be streaming today, and Foch is one of them. I'm checking out his channel now. Let's see if he's live at the moment. Yes, he is.
Does he look chilled? Has he got a webcam?
I'm going to have to go check. Let's see if we can start watching.
Does he look relaxed or nervous going? I don't want to be midfield.
He just took a breath. He just took a big breath, did Foch. So good luck to my man Foch. And you can check him out on Twitch. I'm going to jump back to the racing action here because we are about to get started, ladies and gentlemen. Savalainen rounding.
So we come around the final corner and they get themselves into position. And then that infamous turn 1 Nurburgring GP is only end of a straight away. So will Savalainen come out on top? He's got his car in the position. I mean, it really is an advantage to be on that inside line. Really,
oh, the lights go out, Dan. The lights have gone out. Spears has a look down the inside, but it's Menard does the same. Menard on the inside of Spears. Behind Spears is gone. Yetzi comes in. Appel makes a dive down the outside. Further back.
Oh, look at that dive.
There's a big collision.
The ATK car was a proper dive up the inside. It was Menard. It's gone right to the front of the field. It was working for him, but I think the stewards might want to have a look at that one.
Barkhuis and Trollop, they suffer the most. The rest of the field gets away. But in the front, it is still Savalainen by the looks of things from Essa. We got spinning up over there. Things have, of course, compressed. The Constantini effect is real over back also as a bit of a tussle, but now finally they slot into position, and the guys are stopping the argy-bargy. We see the argy-bargy happening all the way up the field, but Savalainen still leads us off. Menard now in second place. Essa still finds himself in third, and Bauer has moved all the way to fourth.
Yeah, it was a good start, wasn't it? But I said that there's always someone that wants to just lick the stamp and send it up the inside. And this time round, it was Philip Menard who managed to get himself up into second position. But he used a couple of cars as a bit of a brake board, didn't he? So I'm thinking the stewards are going to end up having a look at that, Philip Menard. But yeah, we'll see how that comes across. Got a drive-through penalty for mecking in 21st place. That looks like it was a game-issue drive-through, so he was obviously out of position on the start from the formation lap. He'll have to serve that, which is not what you want on that one. But Savalainen did manage to get through. Essa, I think, got a bit of a push and a nudge, but managed to come across a little bit unscathed and is still there in third position. But he's got Menard now in front of him.
Schaefer and Yetzi are bumping and bashing over there. I'd like to see a replay of that. Schaefer and Yetzi are going at it at the moment towards the Schumacher S's. Oh my good, or at least final chicane. I apologize. Schaefer and Yetzi going at it for 5th and 6th place. But Savalainen crosses the line and completes the first lap, while the rest of the drivers have to figure things out. There's Appel at the back is getting bumped and barged. Mccall, Voss, all involved in a tussle further back as McConnell wakes his way through into the top 10. The drivers now, it's battles happening all the way through, dear ladies and gentlemen, and that first corner providing more and more action as drivers try to gain any sort of advantage they can. But Essa still third, Menard still second, and Savalainen still first.
So I'm looking through and thinking, well, someone lost out there big, and I'm thinking it's Tariq Adams, isn't it? He's down in 17th position, and that's certainly not where he started. So on that turn 1, a few nudges, someone lost out, and I'm pretty sure Tariq Adams was the one that lost the most, and is now on a bit of a recovery drive to get himself back into the top 10.
Yeah, what a pity there from Tariq Adams. And now we look at Morgan Mccall, finds himself in 9th place. He's got McConnell behind him, who's also been doing and being involved in quite a few tussles. Voss just behind him, Goit behind that, Deploy further back. But the ATK driver, McCall, solid top 10 finish in the bag so far if he can keep it going. But no, he wants to apply pressure to Appel and continue to carve his way up the field.
So we saw at Spa, as I mentioned earlier, that these guys had to just manage their fuel for a few laps to make sure they could get across the line with enough fuel to finish, because the tanks are not quite big enough. So I'm not 100% sure if that is the case here. Maybe someone in chat that's got a bit more knowledge that have done ACC here can let us know. But if that is the case, then that could play a factor here. Savalainen is just nestling in, and we had the same with Spears, who did the same at Spa. And Essa was also confirming that he had to just manage a bit of fuel at the early parts of the race.
Yeah, that's very interesting. We heard this, and unfortunately during our commentary we didn't mention it at all. We thought these guys were going flat out, but there's so many factors involved here that we might not be aware of. So apologies if we missed something, but definitely, Dan, so much strategy involved. You now watch Schaefer and Bauer still going, tussling it out. Schaefer right up on the back of side, going to the first corner, breaks hard, does Schaefer, takes the inside line, places his car in front of Bauer and drives all the way out. Fantastic overtake there by Schaefer. Textbook stuff.
Yeah, that's what you want in turn 1, isn't it? That's how you get it done. I mean, you run the risk of over covering that inside line sometimes, and then you compromise yourself on the exit. So you just put it wherever the guy in front hasn't got their car when you've got a good a run as that.
We got a replay, yes, of what happened with Tariq. You called it earlier on, Dan. We saw that he was potentially the one that came off worst early
it wasn't
on.
turn one, look. It was at the chicane.
Oh my goodness me. And
It's
there
in the
we
final
go.
corner. Ah, he lost it in the final corner, bit of contact twice. Okay, so that wasn't where I thought. I thought he was a loser from turn one instant, but that wasn't the case. Tariq Adams was on the final corner.
What a pity for him. Finds himself on that recovery drive, and if anybody can do it, it's him. He's got the top 10 pace for sure, and has proven so consistently over the last couple of months. Is constant improvement, constant leveling up, obviously working with some of the best sim racers in the country to improve technique and improve his speed and time. And now finds himself all the way down. He's going to have to focus in and go on the charge for the next 54 minutes or so.
So the top three are basically going around in a little train, aren't they? No gap between them, but just pushing each other along, and then gapping to fourth place to Schaefer. So Soverline, Minna and Essa are just comfortably sat there. Simon Bauer is in the group behind, trying to track down Schaefer. So I'm wondering whether they are just pacing themselves at the start of this race, and then once you get the green light that you can get to the end, you can put the hammer down. Essa said that was the case for him at Spa. Just make sure you're there or thereabouts in contention, and then push later on in the race. We'll see whether that's the case here.
Ietzi tries to get the outbraking maneuver done, but has to yield. Bauer still up front in 5th position. Ietzi still in 6th place, and you can see starting to harass as we cut to Philip Menard in 2nd place. Now getting maybe a little bit more pressure from Essa. Does Philip Menard, and Soverline starts for the ever so slight gap over Menard in 2nd place. Essa maybe thinking to himself, you know what, we can't let Soverline get away, because once he's gone, we might not be able to catch him again.
Yeah, Soverline's had a great... He's a quick guy, isn't he? We've seen it all season, but he's just been tangled up with other people. And I think this is the first opportunity we've seen what he can do with a clear track in front of him. And if he can pull a gap from Minna and the likes of Essa as well, then that really will show his ultimate pace, and he could be a factor at the end of this season. Nice to see we got is it Levitius from GT7 has joined us in chat. So we've got a few of our Gran Turismo drivers joining to watch the ACC action as well.
Yeah, Levitius, one of our... Oh, Menard's gone wide. Menard's gone wide. We just saw it on our screen there. So Essa now applying pressure. Menard runs wide on the Schumacher Essas, and now Essa now right within striking. This has given Soverline the opportunity to go all the way into the distance. Is Essa going to be able to make the overtake into the final chicane? They come towards that chicane. Down the inside goes Essa. Has a look. Now breaks a bit hard. Maybe too late. Car is skittling all over the place. Essa continues to apply the pressure, but Menard has survived this lap, or has he?
Yeah, so I think Minna sort of... Essa had to lift, didn't he? Because he would have had a great run up towards that chicane, but he lost his momentum to try and avoid contact with Philip Minna. So Minna got away with it a little bit there. But Soverline will be rubbing his hands together, because in the meantime, he's just scampering off on his own.
Yeah, Soverline, the big winner here. The big winner here is Soverline, and he will now find himself all of a sudden looking in his rearview mirror and not seeing much of Menard. I apologize if I've got a little bit of peaking. I'll keep the mic a little bit further away this time, especially when I get a little bit too excited, Dan.
It's that overexcitement. Obviously, I can't get overexcited because I end up in a coughing spree. So I'm a bit of a one-level person at the moment.
It's because you're British, that's why.
Also, that's the reason. Yeah. We did get excited once. It was in 1966.
Was that when you guys won the World Cup?
Yeah.
Essa and Menard still battling it out. Essa watching on. Quite an interesting line Essa takes from time to time. These guys all take different lines, and watch Essa through the Schumacher Essas. He actually understeers the car through there quite a bit. You think he's going to run wide on the exit, but he actually just understeers it right into position, not to lose any momentum through that section over there. But Menard looking good too. Still keen to find out, maybe get a replay of that start so that we can see exactly what kind of trouble Menard got himself into.
Yes, I would like to see Menard send it up the inside. Stewards have obviously had a look at it, and we haven't heard anything from them, so maybe I was incorrect on first glance. But yeah, you see how much curb they take on the entrance to the Schumacher S's. I mean, they've got one tyre almost on the grass because they're trying to minimise that, sort of make the corner as shallow as possible. So really taking the mick with track limits, but these guys will know exactly how far they can go before they get a warning.
actually looking now to try and find that shot in my replays over here. And should be an interesting one to see exactly what happened on that first corner there. But as we go on board with Ietzi, applying pressure to Bauer. Look at that, into the braking zone. Ietzi and Bauer nose to tail with that's Schaefer right in front of them there. Ietzi and Bauer up behind that. Spears, I apologize. Spears now back in contention. So Harry Spears now is suddenly fighting with cars that are 2 cars in front of him, and he could, if he gets past them, we could see Spears go all the way into the top 5.
Yes, so Spears dropped back from the turn 1 incident, didn't he? Because that's why he finds himself down in 7th. So that surely is someone that got pushed aside a little bit, but he's not far away, is he, with Ietzi and Bauer in front of him? And he's having a look. You can take different lines through here, but that was deep. That wasn't a different line. That was just missed his braking point for Harry Spears. And he comes down now to the big sweeping hairpin at turn 7.
Into the tight right-hander. Now up the hill goes Spears. Look at this train of cars here. So many cars. There's 6 of them in that train over there. And neither will make that many mistakes. Here comes Schaefer now, and there is the chasing pack. Schaefer will know that if anybody in the pack gets let loose, especially someone as fast as Spears, then he might be in jeopardy. So he's going to want to leave that pack behind as soon as possible. Schaefer looking good out there at the moment.
He looked good at Spa as well. I remember the second part of that race, he suddenly came alive and he was your man to watch. You were saying look out for Schaefer, and he showed a good run of speed in the second part of the race and worked his way back up through the field, and he's starting higher up now, isn't he? So in 4th position, can he make something happen and potentially run for a podium?
Allison now in 22nd position and chasing Wentworth in 20th position. We mentioned the last time Wentworth was on that charge in the previous race. He's got to find himself doing the same now as we look at cars.co.za. Zaire Essa taking on Philip Menard in 2nd position. I just rewatched that start. Menard did give Sovalainen and Essa a touch, but I think based on the fact that everybody sort of ended up in, I'm not too sure he's going to be given a penalty for that maneuver.
So it's just a bit of a glove tap, but someone always does it, and it sometimes works. Whenever I try it, I get in trouble.
Send it down the inside game, yeah. 15 positions.
I'm the one playing safe and get rammed from behind. That's what happens to me at Nurburgring GP. But Philip Menard, it worked for him, and he got himself up into 2nd place as a result. So, yes, can he keep it though? I think he's happily staying behind right now, isn't he? But I don't. If he had the pace, he would make a move. So I think he's just biding his time. No, Philip Menard's got a 5-second penalty.
Oh my goodness, Philip Menard gets the 5-second penalty. Just as we're saying, it might not be that robust. 5 seconds seems reasonable though. Kind of just a slap on the wrist, isn't it?
It's almost exactly in keeping as what we've seen in F1 recently, isn't it? We saw a 5-second penalty for Ricciardo today, and Austria, we had a 5-second for a similar sort of incident as well.
Yeah. So obviously these sort of penalties will get added on at the end. So Philip Menard needs to beat anybody that's behind him by more than 5 seconds, and we've seen how competitive this has been. He gets a 10-second penalty, does Philip Menard. Philip Menard's 5-second penalty has all of a sudden become a 10-second penalty. But Dan, what do you think that was about?
No, it is. Jason in incident room says incident involving cars 705, 100 and 71 on lap 1, turn 1. 10-second penalties for car 705, which is Philip Menard. So it incorrectly put 5 seconds, but it was supposed to be a 10-second. So I thought when it happened, I called it straight away that the stewards would be taking a look at that, because it happens all the time, and you don't want really to encourage that. Right, yeah, I'm just going to launch it up the inside and hope for the best. He sort of got away with it, and it could have worked out way worse. But it was definitely a bit of a dive bomb.
Especially considering you could have taken out the championship leader over there on the first corner of the race, which is not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, as we now go on board with Ietzi. Ietzi, we saw early on, he started off in 5th position, looks like it. Yeah, Ietzi was in 5th position, now finds himself in 6th The big loser, though, Spears, was in third, now finds himself in 7th place, and the battle here for second place still goes on. Do you think Philip Menard should keep Issa behind him, or do you think he should let him go?
I don't know. If it's costing him time, let him go. But I don't think it is. I think S has just sat behind him because that's where his pace is at the moment. We've got Raymond Mooney in chat. He thinks that penalty is a bit harsh. But just a reminder, the stewards are not ATK employees. They're from SIMGRID. So they don't know any of these drivers, I don't believe. And yeah, it's completely impartial. So, but some people may be thinking it's a little bit harsh. Others, it was fair game. I'm thinking Harry Spears, who had found himself down in 7th, might be thinking 10 seconds is not enough. So everyone's going to have their viewpoint. Now, Philip Menard knows he's got that 10-second penalty. It'll be added to his race time at the end because he's not going to do a pit stop. This will be a sprint to the finish. So he's just got to keep that in mind and try and manage and just try and maximise his pace throughout this race. So yeah, he's not racing Essa anymore, is he?
So when it comes to Spears and Ietzi actually collected each other at the start there, Dan. And then Spears then got into a tussle once again with Menard. I don't think it was a big knock, but Menard squeezed him a little bit. He got and collided with Adam around the outside, then was forced all the way down. So again, I think that 10 seconds might be a bit harsh.
Marquezen's just been slapped with a 5-second in 6th position, so that's another penalty that's come directly from our stewards.
858 sends it, Ietzi sends it, collects Bauer, and Ietzi sends it across the screen there. Goes sideways, pulls on the handbrake, and slides into Bauer's car, the 113 car, and that's going to cost Simon Bauer big time.
Yeah, that's not really a place to send it either. The arena is you just don't pass there. It's just a train, basically. It's a very frustrating part of the circuit where you're constantly just fighting for traction.
Has gotten past.
Yeah, so I think Menard let him go, didn't he? Barkhuizen's 5-second penalty, in case you're wondering, he was obviously involved with a spin and didn't hold his brakes. So obviously collected another car after he spun, which is a crime in sim racing. Please hold your brakes, guys.
Please hold your brakes. In the words of Calvin van der Linde, Zaire Essa saying to himself, let's go hunting. Because he's got this man in front of you. Wait for a replay to pop up on screen. And Jonas Overleinen still in first place, a full 6 seconds ahead. We're going to watch that gap, though, because already Essa has showed a bit more pace than Menard. So Menard, no doubt, was holding Essa up ever so slightly. And if Essa can get away, it's best there, 156.
It's a big gap now, isn't it? 5.5 seconds he's got to get to Soverline. And hopefully a South African can have a little bit more luck in GT3 racing. Because you mentioned Calvin van der Linde, but he didn't finish the Spa 24 hour because 2 Audis crashed into each other. Here's a replay then of this incident in the arena section where you've just got to be patient here. I'm not quite sure what he was looking at. Can we go back?
It looks like there was a touch from the green car.
Yeah, that was Spears, wasn't it? Spears had a slight tap.
Can we have a look at that again? If we could have a look at that again, that'd be great, because it did look like the green car, and that you said was Spears, came from behind, slid into the car in front, and then caused that collision over there. Let's see. Here's the green car. Yeah, that is Spears there. And let's see if Spears gets close enough for contact. Bit of a twitch there from the car in front. Spears,
I think he comes sort of across Spears, to be fair, didn't he? So I don't think Spears was to blame there. I'm sure the stewards will be having a look at all 3 of those drivers from different angles, so we'll see whether we get a few more red boxes coming up against people's names with a 5 or a 10S next to them, and then we'll know who really was to blame. But I think 3 drivers, for me, I don't think Spears did anything wrong there.
Zaire Essa currently in second place. His best time 56.5, and look at this, Soverleinen with the fastest lap of the race of 6.0. So Soverleinen starting to pick up the pace ever so slightly, keeping the gap at 6 seconds. His last lap was a 56.3. The last lap for Essa was a 57.0. So even Essa's best is not as fast as Soverleinen's last. So Essa might not be as fast as he needs to be for this race. We've got another replay coming up now, just heard from our producer.
This is the swap between Menard and Essa. So it was in the arena section, wasn't it? That was where I says you don't make a pass, but ZRS doesn't listen, and that's how you do it. You need the other driver to know you're there, and I think Philip Menard definitely knew Essa was there because he's got a bit of his livery on the side of his car now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that, as you say, that was a risky move from Essa over there, but I suppose he was getting tired of being held up. I do think Essa is pushing quite hard at the moment. His car slipping and sliding. I'll be keen to hear from him at the end of this race if he has any tire issues, because it does look like his car is slipping and sliding as we watch Tariq Adam now on the chase once again. He's got Deploy in front of him, and Tariq Adam in the 99 car there with Fosh.
So he's recovered a bit, hasn't he, Adam, up into 13th. So he was sent down after his incident. You see how difficult it is to get traction through there, don't we? As we look ahead to Christian Deploy's car, really struggling to get the power down. That is the case in that arena section. You're just feathering the throttle, trying to get on power as early as you possibly can without spinning the back wheels or front. And then you've got that difficult flick to the right-hander, which, I mean, in anything else that hasn't got traction control on it, you usually short shift to get through there just to stop the back end out. But these things are obviously a dial of the traction control. But I think they'll be fiddling with their settings because too much traction control, that's where you lose a lot of time through that Mercedes-Benz arena.
Tariq Adam, the man on your screen over there with the fight for 13th position. He's got in front of him Deploy and just behind him Fosh. And as mentioned, some of these guys are streaming at the moment, so you can check them out. And I'm going to see if I can jump onto one or two of these streams. I'm on Fosh's stream at the moment. Let's hear what he has to say. Dan, I'm going to listen in on Fosh for a second if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries. So we've got Philip Menard now. He's got his 10-second penalty that he's been issued from that turn one incident. Probably still a net win for him because he jumped a few places there. And now he's just trying to hang on to the coattails of Zyressa in second place. He's got the pass done, forced his way through in that Mercedes-Benz arena section. We'll just see whether Philip Menard can just hold it. And then his goal now is to try and gap a 10-second back to Robin Schaefer. At the moment, he's got a lot of work to do, though, because it's 4 seconds or less than 4 seconds. So at the moment, that 10-second penalty is going to cost Philip Menard quite a bit. He's going to drop right back into the bottom section of the top 10. So he's got some clear track ahead of him, and he's going to try and get pulled along with Zyressa, basically. But what a race from Sovalainen at the front.
Yeah, Deploy there. We now see him further back. He had a bit of a mishap. Didn't look like anybody collected. Just had a bit of a mishap and slips behind Fosh. And I actually watched it from Fosh's point of view. Fosh looks very cool, calm and collected, a little bit tense and stressed out, focused in, but not saying much on camera is Fosh. He's in the zone now and needs to get on with the job of driving because he's got Tariq Adam to deal with right now.
Yeah, I think Tariq Adams, we know he's got the pace to get into this top 10, but it is another replay as we look at Tariq Adams, how he gets past Christian Deploy in front of him. Oh, Deploy drops it, and then looks like he was going to go in the pit lane, but it wasn't his destination. He was trying to get around that final corner. I ended up losing 2 places.
Well, at least only 2 places, and he is still within shooting distance. So Deploy, not the end of the world. He won't be happy about that, but the car behind him, though, Barkhuizen, has got a 5-second penalty. So no threat from the car behind, as he now tries to once again...
Lots of sliding, Ernest, don't you think? It's like they've got Ferrari hard tyres on these cars. Because lots of slip and sliding. It looks like they're struggling just to get around some basic corners here.
We've heard that the track wasn't optimal at the start. It's already been 24 minutes, so it should be much better now. But I'd like to hear from our producer what the track conditions are at the moment as we watch Thomas Trollop in 21st position. And he has got Allison right behind him in the 52 car. Allison chasing him down here. Best time for Allison at 2:01 as 2:00 for Trollop. So Trollop's got much more pace than Allison. But Allison somehow finds himself behind him as we go back on board with Essa in second place. And now Essa not able to get away from third place man Menard.
No, I think this is the pace that Essa's got, hasn't it? Because he's got ahead, he's got clear track ahead of him, and Sovalainen was still 3/10 quicker on the last lap. So Sovalainen has just been incredibly impressive tonight. He's got the fastest lap of the race with a 1:56 flat, compared to Zyressa's fastest lap of a 1:56.5, so half a second off. So he's just doing what he needs to do, Silverline, to just pull out a win from nowhere.
Yeah, Silverline, and you've got to think when it comes to the championship, Esther with the most consistent championship run at this stage will be quite happy with a second place.
Yes,
at this stage. Silverlinen's not a threat to him in the championship, at least not at the moment. And Menard behind him finds himself with a 10-second penalty. Schaefer will be further back, and the rest of the guys that are a threat to him aren't really. Yeah. So I think someone like Essa now finds himself in a very fortuitous position, because if we look at the championship standings, he's got in second place behind him Spears, who, as we mentioned, is all the way going to be the big winner out of this if he manages to maintain that second position.
You're absolutely right, Ernest, though. I mean, you have to, a championship drive is not necessarily one that you win every race, is it? Yeah. It's just getting the average. And S has got a couple of wins. He's got a 4th place, a 2nd place, probably good enough for him. But he will push, because he always does. But at the moment, I just don't think he's got an answer to the just pure pace that Silverline in first place is currently showing. Still 34 minutes to go, though, as Simon Bauer looks up the inside turn 1. And yeah, plenty could still happen.
Yeah, Ietzi and Bauer fighting it off with Voss watching on. 5-second penalty for the 87 car. And that, I don't see it on our screen over here, but I just saw that 5-second, okay, the 5-second penalty was served for the 87 car. Just to have a look and see which car that is.
And our producers confirm that the track conditions is still green, no longer greasy, but it is definitely not optimal, isn't it? We're seeing them just struggling to get the power down. Plenty of sliding going on for this Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Yeah, it's a rear-wheel drive, front engine layout, a big engine to boot. So these drivers will have to try and manage that around this circuit. And Ietzi trying hard now to get past Bauer through the tight right-hander. And Ietzi goes down the inside. Bauer runs slightly wide. Could Ietzi have the run out on him here? Some of these lines are so unconventional, but it does set you up for the following corner. So you can never tell if the line is actually deep or if it's just the way the guys have set up the...
Yeah, there's a few corners here, big sweeping hairpins. You can take a couple of lines, like turn 7, you can almost have it as a double apex. Hit it early, float out wide, and then cut back. Some people like to just hug the inside the whole time. There are a few different ways of getting around this circuit, which is why it's such a technical track. That infield section, and certainly that massive hairpin before the Schumacher S's. Here is just pure bravery as we go through the chicanes, just trying to get as close as you can to those two cones, and we see a very good job from Ietzi. He gained a lot of place, a lot of space there.
Yeah, Ietzi managed to get right up close on Bauer, failed to make the dive down the inside. As Ietzi now tries to make a dive down the inside, get down on the straight. He's going as fast as he can, 240 kilometers an hour onto the 45, around the outside, all the way around the outside. Go. Bauer says no.
That's a really long way around.
Bauer says too long and closes the door, leaving Bauer still in 8th place. Ietzi still in 9th, watching on.
Yeah, the only way you're going around the outside turn 1 is if someone really does just drop it on the inside line, because that's just too far a long way around. But he's putting the pressure on, isn't he? He's forcing him to drive defensively, Bauer, and the Ietzi looks like this is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point, it's just when.
Yeah, Bauer slipping and sliding all over the place. Ietzi doing the same. Look at the way these cars are moving. They're not able to hold their lines as tightly as they want. Bauer, Ietzi runs wide. Ietzi runs wide, touches the dirt there. Now Bauer gets a little bit of respite, but I don't think that's going to last for long. Watch the different lines through here. Look at Voss having a look now, also joining in the conversation. Ietzi, Bauer, Voss all together through Schumacher.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure running this closely. Bauer's the one that's having it all piled on, though, as he looks in his rearview mirror and is seeing snaking AMGs behind him, especially when you're trying to go as flat as you possibly can through the Schumacher S's. No easy corner here. It just always seems to be a little bit... and I think the greasy conditions is playing its toll. Where Berghausen's penalty is increased to a 10-second, so I take it he's managed to grab himself a second 5-second penalty. I'll just have a look. Yes, he has indeed.
Yeah, we now cut back to this incredible race over here. Excuse me. The NGK chicane is the corner they've just gone through as they make their way now through the final corner. Look at that. Simon Bauer battling Simone Ietzi as the two of them make their way once again down the straight. Voss The 222 car watches on once again. This looks like a repeat from the previous lap, but will it be any different? Will we see Etsy going down the outside again? No, this time he just slots in behind, knows he's not within striking distance, but at least lets the driver in front know that he is still in this battle. The 113 car not able to get away just yet.
Good driving from Bauer there, I thought, because there's no point defending fresh air. He realised the gap was a little bit more than it was the lap previous, and he just took his normal racing line. Just got to try and get back into a rhythm, otherwise you just find yourself just covering the inside too much, and everyone loses time then. You just end up piling more pressure on yourself.
On board now with Matez Vos, someone that's all about piling on the pressure, goes through turn 6 now, and now they're going to turn 7, the hairpin, and this will be a run-up to the Michael Schumacher S's, where the perfect line is what's needed to get the best possible run. But as we can see, Matez Vos finds himself tucked in 10th position here, top 10, solid in the 222, behind two guys that are absolutely going at it, none of them yielding, and this is bode well for the driver in 10th place. Etsy, not so much. He now finds him. Not only does he need to attack, but he also needs to defend against the 222 car.
Yeah, this is definitely the best battle on field, isn't it? We've got Philip Menard, who's just managed to hold on to the back of Essa and keep that gap within a second, but he's using Essa to just drag himself along to try and gap a 10-second place to Schaefer, which we said would be his ultimate goal. And he's doing well. He's at 6.5 seconds, and he's still got 28 minutes to go. So that might be enough.
Maturity. That's a good strategy. Oh my goodness, we
what
see
a mess through there.
Etsy with a big mess through there. Etsy has to come back. The 858 card, he joins it behind Vos, and Vos, the pressure has gotten to Etsy. Etsy makes the tiniest of mistakes. As you that's the section that takes the most bravery, but sometimes the timing, the bravery just don't match up, and you find yourself clambering over those NGK chicanes.
Yeah, right mess of the chicanes. Like to see a replay from that on the helicam if we can, guys. Grab that up, because a lot of pressure was building, and I think he just tried and forced it. You're not passing through the chicane. It just doesn't happen. But I think he just completely missed the second part of it, didn't he? Just airborne through there.
Yeah, airborne over that second section. So easy to do when you try and bomb it in too hard to be last of the late breakers, and then unfortunate, yeah, the brakes don't do exactly as they are asked to do. Maybe a little bit too much asked that time.
We got Harry Spears. There we go. As I say that, we jump up. I'm just looking at the gap. Harry Spears is really putting a run here on Schaefer. And if he can keep within that 10 seconds of Philip Menard, then that's a podium on the cards, isn't it? He just needs to get past Schaefer and get a bit of a run. So Spears he's been a little bit off his pace that we've seen for the other rounds of this season, but he could still grab a podium here, and he is a direct threat for the championship with Zaire Essa, so that's his goal.
Spears definitely, as far as the championship story goes, the tail of the tape when it comes to this incredible ATK Pro Series 2022 championship is the fact that Spears needs to get ahead of Schaefer. Dan, I think you called this one spot on. This is in fact a very consequential battle that we see unfolding here in front of our eyes. Although these guys are only playing for 4th place, I think there's a lot more at stake here. If you think about it this way, here's what happened at the NGK hairpin. Look at that. Mistimes the first section, clabbers and clobbers over the second one.
Just lost traction, didn't he, on his own?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, lost it on the exit there, and unfortunately gets off worst. As we watch Schaefer now having a look down the inside is Spears. Schaefer going a little bit defensive there. Spears just showing him that he's there, but I do think Spears might have the pace advantage at this stage there.
Yeah, I think he has, and if he gets ahead, then he just needs to track down. He doesn't need to track him down. He just needs to hold the place and stay within that 10 seconds from Philip Menard, and he's got a podium in the bag. We got another penalty, 10 seconds for Silva in the 14 car, 17th place, was involved with an incident on lap 4, turn 7 with car 87. So there's another penalty come up with Tariq Adams, 5 seconds as well. So we're starting to see a few penalties creep their way in as the stewards work their way through. I think that's why it's taken a bit of time to come up, because they're only on the early lap still, working there through the incidents. So Tariq Adams has been upgraded to a 10-second penalty.
Oh no, I think these penalties, they maybe just add 5 seconds and add another one, even if it's 10
yeah, I think
penalty.
so, yeah.
That's what we're seeing over here, because it's happened all too often. I don't think our stewards are changing their minds after a few seconds and just dolloping on another 5 seconds.
We've had one guy get 5 seconds, so that was genuine. But yeah, they do it in 5-second increments. So Tariq Adams was one incident, which was 10 seconds.
We now look back on Spears. Schaefer in front, Spears behind, and Schaefer's now managed to eke away a teeny gap, still less than half a second, 0.4 seconds. And either way, Spears will have gotten past Menard if he stays where he is now, but he's going to want to get past Schaefer as well. Like you say, Dad, that podium position will mean that he is still within striking distance of the championship. This is a very consequential battle happening on screen at the moment, folks, because this has a direct effect on the championship as it currently stands.
And he needs to get the pass done soon, because all he's doing right now is losing more time to Philippe Menard. And if Menard can get that to 10 seconds, that's all he wants. So the longer this scrap goes on between Spears and Schaefer, the more it actually plays into the hands of Philippe Menard to keep that podium spot.
Yeah, and Spears now trying various different lines, and could this be slowing him up? It does look like Schaefer's a bit slow through certain sections. Was there a bit of a bump there, Schaefer? All the pressure being applied by Spears, and Schaefer not able to get away in that slow sections, but able to do enough on the rest of the circuit as not to let Spears pass. But I do think Schaefer is going to be starting feeling it now as we head into the second half of this race, solidly now into the second half. There is Simone Ietzi in 10th place. We saw him with a great qualifying, but unfortunately now the 858 car all the way down in 10th, but now battling Voss. He's got Adam in the mix as well there. Bauer has gotten ahead in 8th place, but so many battles happening on circuit, and of course Adam with a 10-second penalty behind this train. So him, I'm sure, wanting to get past at least some of these guys to try and stretch out as much of a gap as he can. But now in this 4-car train is Adam, who finds himself at the back.
Yeah, 10 seconds is a killer, isn't it, in the midfield? It really is. That could be incredibly costly to Tariq Adams. Maybe a little bit less so for Philippe Menard if it carries on going the way that he is. Yeah. Just looking at Philippe Menard's lap times, 1:57.2, and that is 0.2 quicker than Schaefer and Spears behind him. So if he can just keep knocking off 2 seconds a lap, that 10 seconds could come still.
Oh, there goes close. Adam around the outside. Oh, Adam tries to get him
through the chicane.
Oh my goodness. Ietzi gets away with it. So does Adam. Well, no.
It's proven difficult to get a pass done here cleanly, isn't it? We're seeing turn 1 is obviously the big clear cut, get a pass done, but you need a fabulous exit out of the final corner. And then we've seen a couple of I'm coming through in the arena sections, whether you like it or not. But it is certainly difficult to get a pass in this sort of one-make series, but very close racing. I
think Spa, we're going to have to do just all our races at Spa and have like a...
Well, we got Suzuka next. I think Suzuka should be a classic as well. I love going back to these old school F1 circuits. So Suzuka next. And then the last one is just carnage always, Mount Panorama.
Yes.
Anything could happen there.
Rubbing my hands together with glee, because that one is going to be an absolute crack over the top of the hill, over the top of the mountain. The guys are no doubt going to be sending it. All descent through the top of the mountain is what gets you stuck at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, get stuck halfway up the mountain as a bit of a roadblock. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We had Gran Turismo 7 guys. They managed to do it all right, so let's see whether the PC guys can follow them. We've got Justino's joined us in chat, another GT7 driver. So I like the fact that they watch what's going on in the PC space as well, because obviously, just a reminder, the top 3 of each series will end up racing each other. So maybe they're here just checking out who their competition is.
Watching the comments over here, Raymond Mooney in the comments over here. He's the one that says it's quite hard. And then the penalty, Levitius, as you mentioned. Also, Kalen Mauer, Luke Addison. Also, in your very fast driver is Luke Addison. And now we once again go on board with Spears in 5th place, Schaefer in 4th. These guys do know how to drive nose to tail for time.
Yeah, you get used to it, don't you? They're getting very, very used to it, and they're only in round 4 of this series. But Spears just can't find a way through. And in the meantime, Philippe Menard, that gap now 8.6 seconds. Can he get to the magic 10? That's all he needs. They've got 20 minutes to go, so at the rate they're going now, I think the only thing that can stop him is if Spears punches his way through Schaefer quickly and then gets the hammer down on a clear track ahead of him. And that could be the problem.
Yeah, this is exactly what Spears needs to do, which is why we've got our eyes fixated on this battle over here, because Spears has got 20 minutes to get past, and now we see him trying even harder than he did before. As we cut to the battle on track, 11th place man, Tariq Adam, Ietzi in 10th place, Voss in 9th, and Bauer in 8th. Been going on for laps and laps and laps with these guys swapping positions all the time. The 8.5 car of Ietzi early on almost coming off near the NGK chicane, or at least over the NGK chicane, and he now starts to get pressure from the man Tariq Adam, who finds himself with a 10-second penalty strapped firmly to his car for the rest of this race.
That's not too bad for him though, is it, Tariq Adams? 10 seconds. He's got a 3.4 second gap back to Fock in 12th, but Christian Deploy is more than 10 seconds further back, still in 13th. So he's only going to lose one place currently, Tariq Adams. Now it's like not really trying to get past Ietzi, it's trying to work together and just make sure that stays the case for him.
Yeah, but I don't think Ietzi...
no, I think he's got red mist right now, hasn't he, to be honest?
Are going to be taking team orders from Tariq Adam at this stage. I don't think they care about Tariq at this stage. I think each one of these guys is trying to do as well as they can for themselves, judging by how they, especially through that NGK chicane.
Yeah, I think just hold on to the back of the group. They're doing all they need, don't they? And Tariq Adams is going to end up dropping to 12th place at the end. Philip Minard's gap. What are we at? So they're waiting for Schaefer to get across the line. 9.4 seconds. It's almost done for Philip Menard to get a podium with a 10-second penalty.
Adam goes around the outside, ducks it back in for the undercut. Ietzi is going to cover the inside line, and as you mentioned, this Mercedes bowl over here is not the place for overtaking, but it is the place where you can lose the position if you manage to get that line incorrect. Such a tricky line, such a tricky place, because if you don't get it right, this part over here means that you end up losing speed towards the left-hander further down.
Yeah, the exit out of the arena is the difficult corner on how quickly you can get on the power, because you can't really take the correct line because the corners come up onto you so quickly. You compromise the one before to make sure you get a good exit on the most important one. But it's slow through there, so you can force your way through, and Essa did that, didn't he, to Philip Menard? So it is an option. You just got it. You're at the hands of the ACC physics gods as to whether you punt someone off the track, and then you've got a steward after you.
Yeah, because you can't even blow on someone's door and it flies off. So I think yeah, that was a solid move. Pull it off the way he did. Surprising, but well executed for Essa. Now Essa finds uncharacteristically alone on the circuit, at least for this race, in second position, and slowly starting to build up at least the slightest of gaps over Menard in third position.
Yeah, I think we're finally going to have a chat to Soverline, aren't we? Because he's been just remarkably impressive to stretch a 10-second gap over Zaya Essa at the front. And Essa's had clear track ahead of him for a good time now, and just can't cope with the pace of the leader. But I think he's happy to take second, as you said earlier. Essa's last time through was a 1:57 flat, but Soverline 4/10 quicker. He's in the 56s.
Eesh, that is ridiculously quick for race pace, as well. As we now got back to this insane battle. Your four cars watching each other on. Ietzi constantly moving about, Adam doing the same. Voss finds himself between Ietzi and Bauer and has to play both sides of the coin. But as you mentioned, this arc over here, it's such a long, as you try and get the power down, you got to make sure that you don't push down too much, but at the same time sacrifice and set up the following section as to get the run down the hill over here. But the guys stay in the same positions. They have to pull the trigger, but who is it going to be first? I figure Ietzi is going to be the most antsy about this mistake he made early on. He's going to want to get that one back.
Either that or Tariq Adams is just going to lick the stamp and send it, because he's got a 10-second penalty anyway and end up getting demoted behind all of them, and it makes no difference. But at least he'll have some fun.
I can make it 20 seconds.
Yeah, make it 20. What? Just keep giving them to me. Philip Menard is keeping up with Essa, isn't he? I wonder whether Essa could slow him up and force him into 4th place if he wanted to.
Wow.
Because 10.2 seconds is the gap from Menard to Schaefer. He's got what he needs, but he needs it to still be there in 15 minutes' time.
If Essa was trying to do something to, well, Menard is at the moment 4th in the championship. So this is including dropped rounds. So the smart move would be for Essa to Menard back. It's not necessary.
It's the nasty move, but...
It's the nasty move, but we're playing a game of chess here, aren't we? Not checkers. So if you're looking at what's the best move, I didn't ask if it's the nicest one, but it's certainly the most strategic one. Oh, look down the inside. Goes Ietzi and has to pull back on 222 car. But Ietzi still always watching on, waiting, biding his time. It's not over yet.
No, this is a battle that's going to go right to the end. We have won every single race, don't we? Spears just cannot find his way past Schaefer. He's been within sort of 2-3 tenths of him for the last 10 laps, probably. And he just cannot find his way through. And Schaefer's going to get more and more confident that he can keep that green beast behind him. With 14 minutes left to go, you learn where you want to defend and where you don't need to worry, don't you? So Spears needs to come up with something a bit magical here, or a bit unpredictable, and find a way through somewhere else.
Yeah, whether Spears is going to be able to do that, though, that is the question. He hasn't been able to do it. And as you say, we've seen this with these guys. They're so evenly matched on pace, skill, and performance that sometimes you get yourself a stalemate like this, regardless of pressure. The guys are so used to absorbing the pressure for lap after lap, especially with so many endurance races taking place on the calendar. So these drivers are able to soak up the pressure for very long periods of time, something that 15, 20 years ago would have feat of performance. Now with the type of cars we have, the type of drivers we have, they're able to soak up the pressure minutes at a time, and that's exactly minutes, sometimes hours at a time.
Yeah, and our stewards are getting through this race because there's another penalty issue to Goering in 14th position, car 484, for being involved with an incident with car 667 on lap 16, turn 14. So there's quite a few little penalties to dish out at the end. That's going to keep our guys a little bit busy to work out the final results. But it sounds like we've missed just a couple of incidents.
Oh, Bauer runs wide. Bauer runs wide. Bauer runs wide, and the rest of the troop slips through. And we were just talking about pressure. Bauer and loses 3 positions in one corner, with Foch looking on just behind. So Bauer makes the ultimate mistake and drops 3 whole position, with Tariq Adam just saying, you know what, I will take it. Tariq Adam, another look as Ietzi goes through, and Ietzi tries to go through. Ietzi gets a nudge.
Oh, that was Adam. Just helped him round there. Tariq Adams just nudged him, didn't he? And just spun him round.
I'm not sure if he did. Tariq Adam was an innocent bystander this time, I think. If anything, I don't think he should be penalized there. But now Bauer gets ahead of Adam and Ietzi and Foch. And the car in front of here, Matthias Voss is the big winner in all of this. He can't believe luck.
That was an expensive chicane for Bauer, wasn't it? Went in there. I mean, that chicane's ruined many people's races, I can tell you that for certain. But in this instance, yeah, 3 places lost in a split second for Bauer.
Jeez.
Here's a replay. Was Tariq Adams helping him round here? We'll find out.
Yeah, I don't think there was a helping nudge, but this is the run into the first corner. And you can see Adam looking in the middle there.
Everyone's looking, to be fair, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're all having a good look.
Oh, so he was. He was helped around.
Sorry.
Oh.
That's a bit of damning evidence for our stewards there, unfortunately, isn't it? Yeah, I fear his 10 seconds might have an extra 10 slapped on.
Yeah. The chopper cam really does give us all the information we need, and that unfortunately doesn't bode well. That slightest of nudges has caused more trouble than it's worth for Tariq Adam, and he now starts to apply the pressure with Bauer, with a 10-second penalty already tacked to his name. Will the 99 car get another one as the stewards weigh up the evidence?
plenty of those little nudges during the Spa 24 this weekend. There's one poor guy, it happened to be in a Mercedes-AMG, went round 3 times from the help of someone behind.
The 57 car.
Yeah, so it's maybe that's a bit of a it's tail happy, this Merc, isn't it? So if you get pushed from the back, it's going to send it round, and that was almost exactly what we saw this weekend in the Spa 24.
Over and over.
Yeah.
Now we are back on board with Tariq Adam in the GTWR R8G Academy car, the 99 car. We see him in 10th position with a 10-second penalty, no less. Foch still looking
well, 10
on.
10 seconds for now. I think that's going up. So, I mean, Tariq Adams is going to be getting frustrated here, and he just wants to make sure he doesn't get red mist coming down and does something stupid, because, yeah, I think he's going to be a little bit upset. It wasn't malicious in any way. It's just one of those things that happen. This race is slightly falling apart for him, isn't it?
Yeah, Wentworth pulls out of the way, and now Foch and Adam continue to fight, and these 3 guys continue to fight. The number 99 car gets another penalty. Tariq Adam gets another 10 seconds dolloped on top of his already second
inevitable
penalty.
Wasn't it? Inevitable.
Yeah.
And when we said before he's only going to lose 1 place, he's now going to lose 5 by the time those 10 seconds dish out. Well, he's got a 14th and 15th place have got their own 10-second penalty, so he's going to drop down to 13th position at the moment.
Robin Schaefer now still has a look down the inside, the final corner. The final corner. Did he get through?
He's got it.
He's got it.
Has got it. Finally, he's got it. He went deep, didn't he? Schaefer went super deep into the final corner, and Spears says, thank you very much, I'll take it. Finally, the mistake I was looking for. Can he work his way back? He's going to dive up the inside. It's not enough.
Too far. Spears, the last of the late breakers there, manages to retain the position. I'd love to see that replay. I do think Spears was sending it up down the inside anyways. Spears was applying incredible pressure there, causing Schaefer to lose momentum out of the chicane, and Spears to then do the dive. And now the hunt is on. Spears needs to get within 10 seconds of Menard.
He needs 3.7 seconds. That's all he needs.
Goodness me, it's only 8 minutes to go.
If he can get 3.7 seconds, he's got a podium. That's incentive. He'll know about that 10-second penalty. It'll be in his relative.
Yeah, it will most certainly be in his relative. He does have the pace on Schaefer, I think, but it does also look from my little camera over here that he's pushing quite hard. But now the battle for 9th position once again. Oh, at how takes place there as the guys continue to fight it out here. That's Bauer with Tariq Adam going on the lunge there. I think Tariq Adam has lunged enough today. 20 seconds worth of lunging, in fact.
But he's getting himself on the highlights reel quite a lot. But as they say, if you're on the highlights reel quite a lot, it means you've had a bit of a nightmare generally. And he's had a nightmare there because he's gone wide again, hasn't he? And he's slipped back.
Yeah, Tariq slips back. Foch now down the outside of the Schumacher S's. I thought Tariq was going to have a look down. Terrible overtaking spot, but doesn't do it. He lost momentum out of the hairpin and now finds himself back down in 11th position behind Foch, who managed to scoop up a position there based on a mistake from Tariq Adam. And
yeah, unfortunately, a bit of a race to forget for Tariq Adams, isn't it, today? He's going to want to move on to Suzuka as quickly as possible.
I think this is going to be one of those races where he might learn the most based on the fact that didn't go all his way. He's clearly got speed. He's clearly got an incredible turn of speed. He's just got to turn that speed into results, and that's the difficult part sometimes, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, you need a bit of luck, don't you, in GT3 racing, for sure. Some things can be a little bit out of your hands, and it just snowballs on you. You're trying to recover from somewhere where you shouldn't have been, and that was the case of Tariq Adams, and it's now you end up forcing your way through. You get a few penalties slapped against your name, and all of a sudden it's like, right, round 5, please. Let's not talk about round 4 again.
No need to talk about round 4. No need at all for Tariq Adam. 22nd penalty, 11th position. Simon Bauer in front of this train. Still getting pressure from Foch, from someone at least. This time it happens to be the 888 car. And Voss finds himself all the way down the road in 8th place. And there is Zaire Essa, still in 2nd position, still with the charging Menard right behind him. But the race that we wanting to see is Spears, who is
I'm keeping an eye out for when Spears comes across the line on his first flying lap without traffic or fighting, because he needs to basically chop half a second a lap off Philip Menard to stand a chance to get to chat to us on the podium.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will be Philip Menard, even with a 10-second penalty. So he's really got to send it, and he just went across the line with a 1:57.4. That's not enough, I'm afraid.
That's not enough.
Not enough.
His best is a 56.3. The last lap for Menard was a 56.8. Also best is a 56.3. And Menard still has pace. I mean, Menard is keeping Zaire Essa very honest here in second position.
But that's the best decision he made, was to drop behind Essa and just follow him. And he just wants to carry on doing that. Show you the maturity. You're not going to get past, even if you can get past Essa, it's not worth it. You need to maintain that 10-second gap at all costs.
Here comes Spears across the line again. Let's check that time. 57.2 his last time. That's the same as, almost exactly the same as Philip Menard, just a little bit slower, in fact, but within striking distance, but not enough, unfortunately, to make any sort of substantial difference to how things turn out here as we now go on board once again with Bauer. And these two still going at it here on board with Foch now. Foch has a look down the outside. Bauer goes defensive. Bauer goes defensive. Foch around the outside. Foch try and potentially do the undercut. He's got pressure from Adam at the back as well.
Yeah, it's not going to happen around the outside. We've seen a couple of those attempts today, and it's not happened. You've got to slot back into position. Might as well have a go, though, because he hasn't lost anything, has he? So he'll regroup behind Simon Bauer. I'm just looking at that gap to Philip Menard, and it's so close to Essa in front. Do you think Essa's backing him into the field, or do you just think it's just pace? The lap times say otherwise, to be fair. Philip Menard's lap times say it doesn't look like Essa's trying to back him up at all. I don't think that is the case. It's just very tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just very tight. But as I said, tactics in motorsport have long prevailed over the course of its rich motorsport heritage. The motorsport that we've certainly been following over the years, and no different in saloon car racing, for teammates wanting to give each other the bump or secure themselves an advantage over the course of a championship. So if it's not outside of the rules and there's no obvious sandbagging, then I don't see a problem with it, to be honest with you. But whether or not he's doing it,
not at all. I don't. Not at all. It's part of the sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Strategy calls. As if Ferrari could sort their strategy out, that'd be good. Yeah. Anyway, back to this race. This little battle, Tariq Adams, Foch and Bauer in that 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's just insane how close it is. I think Adams has had some fun, if nothing else. He might be frustrated, but it's been great driving through here with places changing and swapping position.
Yeah, they are still going at it. I'm watching the race now. If we can cut back to that race, it's getting very intense over there, going into the final corner between Foch and Bauer, and Adam, unfortunately, there because of I think Adam is getting caught up in what's going on here. Bauer tries to get a slipstream on Trollop over there. Trollop finds himself all of a sudden in the mix here as Foch goes around the outside, he's going to try and turn all the way in.
That's as close as we've had so far as an attempt around the outside, and still nowhere near. He's going to try the cutback, but it doesn't work here either. You've got to have the inside line covered. Looks like Bauer's just holding that inside line. You just want to keep going even more inside, don't you? Can't go on to the contact.
Adam secures it. Adam says, thank you very much. And there's more contact at the back between Trollop and Bauer. Trollop, an unfortunate... gets involved. The bystander gets involved in the tussle, and now Bauer in front of Foch. Foch losing it a little bit, and guess what? Tariq Adams says goodbye. I'm taking ninth position for now.
Finally, I get through. Samir Foch, though, he was, he gave a nudge, but quite sportingly, he did wait for the car to rejoin, and he joined behind him, didn't he? So Bauer still maintains his lead over him, and they'll regroup and have another go.
Bit easier to let the guy go when you're not in the things early on in the race, because
I just like to see it. It shows a bit of respect, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's
sportsmanship behavior.
Sometimes it's got to happen. Sometimes it's got to happen. Savalainen, while all this is happening, is on the final lap of the race, and
we haven't seen him at all, have we? He's
not
just
in the least.
I mean, we basically spent the entire race watching him at Kyalami because it was super interesting. And here, he's just checked out. Pole position, and off he goes. So Savalainen is a force to be reckoned with in this series if he can get it on the front row of the grid and have clear track ahead of him, because no one's had an answer for his pace. He's had the fastest lap of the race with a 56 flat. That's quicker than anyone by quite some margin. So a great drive from Savalainen. who is a bit of a Nurburgring GP specialist, I think.
Looks like it. He's definitely done a couple of laps. Yeah, looks like it as the number 100. Una Silverline getting slower every day. That is absolutely not true. Bauer and Foch still going at it, of course, further back. But the man of the moment, Una Silverline, is on his way to claim his first win in this season's ATK Pro Series, the 2022 season, and this will bode well for champion title. He currently is quite way down the order, though, truth be told. Not up as far as some of the others. In 14th position, his best result, and 9th place. But somehow he's done more than enough to secure not just a win, but also a convincing win. Dan.
Fantastic drive, really is good. He's going to get 3,500 rand for his trouble as well, isn't he, as the winner of this round. So congratulations to Sovalainen. He's coming round the final corner now. He'll be delighted with a flawless victory over Zaire SR, current championship leader, who's got some vital championship points in the bag with a second place. And Philip Menard, quite a mature drive, I think, from Philip Menard. Realised that he got a 10-second penalty. Don't let that get you down. Drop behind Esser and just gap, and that's exactly what he's done, and he's done enough, because Harry Spears did get past Robin Schaefer for 4th position, but he couldn't close that gap down to within that 10 seconds, so 4th is where he will stay.
Yeah, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sovalainen gets the win in first place. Right behind him is Tahir Essa, who manages to secure second place, and I think this time Essa will be happy with second, because it means his championship is still intact based on where his competitors finish. There comes Morgan Mccall in 7th position. These results are, of course, provisional, because we need to tally up all those penalties, tally it up. But there you have it, folks. Menard does seem to have secured 3rd place, and Spears in 4th. We will be going to a quick break, and we'll be right back after this with interviews and results. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
There you go, folks. There is the current podium as it stands, and by all calculations, Philip Menard has done enough to get that ATK Mercedes-Benz to the 3rd spot of the podium. Zahir Essa has done enough to keep his championship contention hopes alive. And Jonas Overleinen has done than enough by streaking into the distance and taking the win. We've got Philip Menard in the wings, and he'll be joining us shortly. Chat to us about what exactly happened there. Philip Menard, I see you've just joined us. You can just unmute yourself. And did you know that you had to be in the position you had to be in to hold on to third with that 10?
Yeah, I kept that in mind. You know, I had a bit of a shocker D1 lap 1. So I took that penalty like I was supposed to, and I saw the gap open up to Schaefer every lap, and I thought to myself, maybe there's a chance of me getting third. But I was looking down dire straights at the start. But yeah, the track was also very weird. I've never experienced something like this in a while. So, but yeah,
it was a bit greasy, wasn't it, Philip? We were talking about that earlier. We also said, I called it before, that there's always some guy that tries to just lick the stamp and sends it out the inside of turn 1. Unfortunately, that was you, and you paid the price for it. You accept that penalty, but it was a very mature drive after that, dropping behind Essa and just gapping that 10 seconds.
Yeah, I just kept that in mind. I didn't want to race, you know, and waste time. You know, he's gonna get second anyways, regardless of where I am in comparison with him. So I just kept that in mind, just kept it clean, tried to build a gap as far as possible. And I had a few close moments, close calls with the curbs. So I'm happy I finished.
Well, Philip, it was a fantastic performance. You are the new ATK driver, and so as well, isn't it?
I joined ATK, and I'm really enjoying it here with the team, and the support is really nice, and it's nice having a team again after being so single for so long.
Well, Dan has been singing your praise for months, so you can maybe thank him for not being single, because he was basically saying...
I assume the check's in the mail, Philip. Is it somewhere? I keep checking my mailbox, but it's empty.
Yeah, I didn't know you were, because I didn't see you on the podium, but I suspect I'm going to get to know who you much more over the coming months. So congratulations, Philip Menard, the first of many, we hope. Third place, and the pace is there, my friend, very soon, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Philip Menard in third position. Someone that's no stranger to the podium, and now convinced championship is our man Zahir Essa. Zahir Essa, usually don't seem happy with second place, but the bigger picture was at play here for.
Yes, hi.
How's it?
I don't know if you can hear me properly. You're just
we can.
cutting in and out a bit there. I assume you're just asking about my race. Well, yeah, P2 is obviously not the best, but you can't win them all. And I was out of sorts with this track coming into this race, or just before. Yes, I thought maybe top 10, I hope. So coming away with the podium is very lucky, especially after the first corner shunt. Damaged my car a little bit, so the balance was really weird. It was like a bit sketchy in the fast stuff and just understeer, and then my tire pressures were low, so I couldn't save tires because the pressures would drop more, and then I'd push a bit more and kill more tires. So it was just like a bit of a stalemate, but congrats to Jonas. He was just too quick today.
We noticed with everyone, actually, Essa, that it was like a very greasy track. People were just struggling to get the traction down, but it was the same for everyone. But obviously, yeah, it wasn't easy, I take it.
Yeah, it was unusual because usually the track rubbers up quite a bit, and there was definitely rubber going down, but there was just no transition with the track condition. So the tires just kept graining and getting worse and worse. So it was pretty horrific to drive, but yeah, at least I got a podium out of that, so it's good.
You said your car was damaged. How did that affect the race? I see Philip Menard and you were pressurizing each other all along, and Philip then got a 10-second penalty. Were you doing the calculations as you were driving? Because obviously the man to watch...
Sorry, the man to watch was?
The man to watch out for would have been Harry Spears, who was chasing you down. He's second in the championship at the moment. So were you noticing the penalties and how this would affect things? Were you watching the leaderboard as you were racing?
Not really. So I saw Philip get the penalty, and obviously then I think he was struggling quite a bit at the first few laps. So I was just, flashing him and saying, like, because he was holding me up quite a bit of the start. So I don't want him to hold me up that badly that I will lose out at a chance to catch Jonas. But then once I got past him, I did not have the pace to catch Jonas, definitely. So I just kind of, it was a bit of a stalemate, kind of just stuck where I was. And then behind me, I wasn't really watching the leaderboard. I mean, I got no control over that. So I was just busy managing my pace, making sure I get to the end. It's all good.
Well, a fantastic performance there, Zahir Essa. And this, as I said, the big picture stuff. If you manage to maintain this, the championship is yours. So a 1, a 4, a 1, and a 2. The most consistent driver so far this season. Congratulations on second place.
Thanks. It seems good. We'll see what happens at Suzuka, because it's going to be very interesting. I guarantee that's going to be my drop round, because I'm going away on holiday. And apart from being away from my rig, I'm not going to be in the same hemisphere as my rig. And I'll be landing on the day of the race. So I expect I'm just going to be completely nowhere in that race. But it'll be very interesting. I'm keen to see what happens there.
I'm keen to see it too. We'll see you then, Mr. Zahir Essa. Ladies and gentlemen, there is Zahir at the moment, and still Mr. Consistency over the course of this championship. But the person that won this today, Jonas Silverleinen. Jonas Silverleinen, the name we've seen all over the qualifying, over the racing, with the best position of 9th before, but we suspect that wasn't up to his full potential. Jonas Silverleinen is now at the top spot in first place. Jonas, congratulations on that incredible win. Please tell us how your race went. A little bit soft there, Jonas. A little bit soft. Let's see. We can just see if we can get him to tune in. Yuna, if you can hear us, you can say something. But yeah, I'm not hearing anything. It's very, very soft there. Let's see if I can turn him up on my Discord. No, nothing yet from Jonas Silverleinen. Dan, what are your thoughts on Jonas' performance today?
Well, we said that, like, if you're not in the highlights reel very much, you've had a good race. And, you were awesome on the fact that we didn't watch you at all, because you were just cleared off on your own. So to be able to get that big a lead and the fastest lap of the race, pole position, that was a masterclass, wasn't it, really? And I look forward to seeing what you can do at Suzuka and Bathurst for round 5 and 6 to finish this season off.
Jonas Silverleinen, still plenty more races to go in the season. I think we're going to call this interview because we're not getting it there. But ladies and gentlemen, have a look at our sponsors over there. Without them, none of this would be possible. See them at the bottom of your screen. We got Puba, Motorsport South Africa, Coach Dave Academy, Africa, Race Together, Kyalami, 9-hour South African GT, and SIMGRID. Of course, none of this would be possible without the Mercedes-Benz backing and powering this incredible ATK Pro Series. But yeah, let's have a look at those results quickly before we sign out and see exactly what happened in this race over here. An incredible turn of events today, and the championship now firmly on its head. But one man that has affected much is your championship leader. We're gonna have to scroll down the rest of the field because Harry Spears might not be in second place anymore. Tariq Adam was in third place. He's definitely slipped down. Philip Menard was in fourth. He's gone up, I'm sure. And Yetzi, our fifth place man, he wasn't quite as in it as he usually was. Well, folks, that's going to be it from us for now. Dan, any closing?
No, I don't think so. Great, enjoyable race and some great driving throughout in some very tricky conditions, which was a little bit unusual. And we'll move on now to Suzuka and the fabulous 130R. So there'll be some incidents there, and it's a cracking track again. So that's round 5. So we'll see you there.
Yeah, round 5 will be Suzuka, one of many races' favorite tracks. And it's going to be interesting if Zahir Essa is not on form at Suzuka, who will step up to the plate? Well, there's only one way to find for the next round of the ATK Pro, powered by Mercedes. My name is Otis Page. That man is Daniel Haynes, and we'll see you at Suzuka.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena.